Let's go!
On screen right now, one of the sickest goddamn things Mortal Kombat has done in a hell of a long time. What you're looking at right now, showing up through the weirdest means, the weirdest way, was easily one of the coolest things I have experienced in a fighting game in a long time. I'm not even gonna say an MK game, I'm just gonna say in general. Floyd being the final mystery ninja, the rainbow ninja that everyone sort of talked about, like the not chameleon, like all this kind of stuff, making an official appearance, not being playable, but being like a secret boss fight that unlocks this shit. Badass, dude. Finding out how to get him, the community coming together to gather information, even though it was found relatively quick. This stuff was not designed to be monetizable. It was just sick. It felt like the old days of Mortal Kombat. When you look in, error macro and all this kind of shit. He shows up and you're like, what is happening? Secrets in Mortal Kombat are a thing that have sort of been put by the wayside for a little while, kind of relegated to gear and unlocks and shit like that. And then Mortal Kombat 1 finally came out and they're like, why haven't we done big secrets again? And they did it. And it was in an update. They didn't tell anybody about it. They told nobody that they made this super cool fight. At the end of MK1, I think this game was super fun. And I think they took what was an extremely bad situation, almost like a very much like rough fighting game with a lot of problems, and they turned it into something that has some of the best aspects of MK that I have played. Is it my preferable way to play them? Is it the best? Is everything else emphatically good about it? No, dude, we know all the issues with MK1. We just talked about it. I want to talk about the things that ended up being really sick about this game. Because if one thing, yes, the comparison here is like Street Fighter V. They didn't even get the time to Street Fighter V Mortal Kombat 1 to get to their eventual Season 4, Season 5, where things were actually really good and this became a genuinely good game. Dude, they didn't even get that time at all. They got a very short, like year-and-a-half-ish period to begin their redemption arc, and the beginning of their redemption arc is now where the game is seemingly and potentially done, which is sad. Outside of Floyd, which is a badass thing that they added to this game, and I love this shit, man. This was such a cool idea of like secret fights. I want to talk about the stuff that Mortal Kombat 1 did well, and I want to talk about the things in this game that I actually hope continue forward, that future games that NRS makes can apply and learn from. Outside of the clear negative aspects that have been covered ad nauseum and a billion times, and I don't need to farm content out of that anymore. I don't know if I really want to. The first one is cameos. And I don't think cameos are a thing that needs to come back. I don't think that's something that should resurface or return. But around Season 2, cameos greatly changed. A lot of aspects of the game that were revolving around like, F it, this just covers my neutral sort of situations, just makes unsafe things safe. That stuff didn't go away. However, how did the majority of relatively good or decent cameos change over time? We started to see an evolution of something that is what I think pretty unique to NRS games, which is a conversion. And the ability for you to convert using a cameo, a normally, I would say a normally one-hit situation into something that is a multiple hit situation, and that can actually get you pretty decent damage. They first told us this pre-release, hey, you know down twos? You don't get anything off down twos in almost any NRS game, bro. Well, they literally turned it into a jump cancel later on, which is kind of cool. And they promote the idea that, hey, your cameo can turn a down two into an actual conversion in some way. That's an interesting idea. They don't fully get to the point where that makes sense until we get really crazy cameos like Mavado and stuff like that, where you could only use the cameo during hit stun and juggle. That shit was weird, man. I'm like, what are these guys smoking? Giving them credit is one of the coolest cameos in the game. What a cool idea. Suddenly now I have a cameo that just doesn't randomly help me out in neutral. Now it lets me convert. Now it lets me turn a throw into something unique. It allows me to turn situations that Mortal Kombat has historically presented to us. Hey, bro, you're just gonna watch this 5 to 7 second throw animation again and again and again. I will never forgive Mortal Kombat 11. That game made me hate throws, dude. I hate throws. I can't stand them. NRS games, I cannot watch these throw animations again and again and again. Like, oh my god, dude, this is crazy. At least in MK1, they found a way to make that work. You can quite literally break the throw with a cameo and convert after. Cool. That's a cool idea. Another thing, I hope comes back. And I think historically has been a thing that in almost all of the Mortal Kombats before this, a thing that is kind of hard to deal with for a mid-level to low-level audience, maybe mid to intermediate. Jump kicks. Jump kicks are kind of a pain in the ass in the majority of MK games, and many of them you don't get conversions off of them. Not all the time, sometimes you do. But jump kicking is like kind of a pain in the neck. You're like, what do I do? I don't have a traditional anti-air. Like sometimes my down twos don't work in this situation. Mortal Kombat 1 was like, hey, we recognize that. Like our jump kicks are kind of messed up, and you get one hit, but you don't get the combo. They're sort of hard to anti-air in many situations. And one thing they did initially was really buff down twos. Down twos are now very good anti-airs. They're like really good. But they introduce up block. And up block opens up a pretty unique mind game of like an empty jump. Now, if you up block, there's a recovery to it. Now, if you up block, you can be thrown out of it. Now, if you up block and correctly predict that somebody is jumping at me, I can now punish you for it. And if I'm ready for it, I think that is arguably, and it is a defensive mechanic, one of the best ideas they have had in NRS games in a hell of a long time. I think this shit is a great idea. In fact, we all go back to previous Mortal Kombats, 3D Mortal Kombats and stuff, and we're always up blocking on accident because it's just natural. It's just like a natural thing. Yes, the fact that you could up block overheads. The main functionality was around jump-ins, right? It clearly was solving a problem. I actually really hope that whatever next MK game happens, that they have a mechanic that is similar to or functionally like up block. I think that would be a great idea. Introduced at the end of Season 2, the very tail end, which is why I'm thinking this is going to be something that will be introduced in the future Mortal Kombat game. We have finally been given some true concepts of something that is more mechanically deep than just having a fatal blow. Just having a big super X-ray animation, you know, that plays out and you get these fatal blows and yada, yada, yada. Some characters had some cool functionality with this shit. The Joker kind of had that in Injustice 2. Johnny sort of has that in MK1, you know, some characters in MK11, but not like a functional thing. They give characters, I think it was Melina, where they let you go combo mad at the sacrifice of your fatal blow. They give the characters these unique opportunities to go crazy at the expense of fatal blow, so that we no longer have to just watch that animation over and over again. Instead, you now get to style on somebody if it's like the final hit or some crazy shit if it's not going to break. I think that is a great idea. And it is a wonderful kind of like poetic sort of way to fix the issue that you watch the same shit over and over again. Ever since MK11, we see the same goddamn supers because you're almost guaranteed to use them every single round. The same thing in MK1. Once you get to that lower health bar, you just have that shit. Nah, man. That thing is a great call of how to turn what is just a very uninteractable situation into something that allows us to grow. It actually enhances the gameplay in some way instead of just watching a cinematic. We were hoping it was going to be every character, but it ended up really just being Melina and Baraka, which makes me feel like it's a test. It makes me feel like they're sort of testing this thing to see how people do it and what you can do to turn it into something super cool. Another thing that I really like about MK1, we're back to traditional Mortal Kombat breakers. The typical wake-up system and breaker system, how you use your meter that MKX and MK9 had provided. Those systems have been intrinsically Mortal Kombat now, where it's like, I'm going to wake up with a special move. It's going to have armor and it's going to beat your thing. I'm using that wake up for that. No more super goofy wake up thing in Mortal Kombat 11. No, bro. I genuinely like the concept that MK11 does give you breakers, and we have a traditional breaker, and we have the ability that your character can do wake up EX moves that are like unsafe if you use the EX move. I like the way that Mortal Kombat 9 and Mortal Kombat X figured that out, and then for some reason they changed it in MK11 because these games always change. But I hope that's a foundation going into the next Mortal Kombat. Just gameplay wise, I hope that is a thing that continues forward, and those games sort of, you can use your meter to trade off in that way. Those are equal, decent, high risk, high reward situations that I think should continue and are a decent foundation that doesn't need to be really screwed up with, you know? If they do eventually introduce something that allows you to stop the breaker to do like, you know, a block the burst in some way, that would be really fascinating. But I don't think the devs want that. I think the devs, if you're going to spend a lot of meter on this, you should allow your ass to return to neutral. You know what I mean? That was emphatically way better than Mortal Kombat 11, at least in my opinion. Let's talk about combos. As much as I really enjoyed combos in MK1, there was a problem. And it's the same problem that Tekken 8 is running into. The fact that the combos take so long to complete was an issue. A complaint and also a benefit. Very fun combos in this game. Air combos, bounce combos, like all that kind of stuff. Yes, I actually legit enjoyed all the cool setups and combo things that you could do in this game. The problem is that they just simply take way too long. They put us in these moments where we're just gonna have to watch this shit forever. It is a big issue. It's also one of the most fun aspects of the game. If there's one thing that is a criticism but also a benefit, it's combos, and I think the game speed needs to change. I think people will be fine with the game running at a speed similar to Mortal Kombat 9, similar to Mortal Kombat X. I think that is completely fine. If anything, I think the combos are a benefit. They're very fun in this game. They're really cool. There's a lot of very difficult extensions and shit like that. I want a game that allows us to use resources to extend combos in a variety of ways, and it's quick and snappy, dude. Quick, snappy, get your reward, move on, you know, and then we just get to go. I hope that's the future for Mortal Kombat games beyond this, that they can learn that things need to be a little bit more snappy and sped up, because if anything, Mortal Kombat 1 had an issue. It was a bit too sluggish overall. I just want to say this is a benefit and also a problem. This is a really good thing and also a technically really bad thing. My dude, I did not like any of the characters in this game. Any of them in season, and technically all the way up until season like 1. Some of them were fun, but the core roster, this is one of the first Mortal Kombat games where I didn't like any of the MK Ninjas. I felt weird. I really didn't like Scorpion. I thought Sub-Zero was not nearly cool enough, and I thought Reptile was neat looking, but I just did not like the way he felt. He felt heavy. This was like, Reptile's supposed to be nimble, bro, and he just feels like, ugh, my tail weighs 800 fucking pounds, ugh, you know, and I'm gonna spit snot everywhere. It's like, I just did not like the way some of these characters like felt, dude. I didn't like it. So much so that, yeah, I was even playing Havoc. And I just ended up ending up on Havoc. I don't know how that happened. This changes a lot in Season 1 DLC. Once we get into Season 2, it gets a lot better. And we get some characters that actually require some genuine technical know-how, that actually require some finger gymnastics and stuff, so much to the point where it's like, dude, I can't even play this character. Ermac is a really cool idea. I genuinely don't want to play him, but I think the way they handled him was sick. Making Ermac into the stance cancel, I think it is there's one version of Ermac that was all about weird stance cancel combos in MKX, and they kind of leaned on that a lot. I'm like, that's a really cool idea. I like that, dude. And then just for finality, I think Noob Saibot in this game is one of the sickest Mortal Kombat ninjas ever. Straight up. I don't even mean that I like his design or the way he looks, because I only think that's okay. Noob Saibot was always one of the characters that I loved, and a lot of casual people love about Mortal Kombat just in general, because he's cool looking. And I despise the way he played in MK11. I could not believe how tremendously boring this dude was in MK11, but he looked so cool. Noob Saibot doesn't look as cool in this game, but this guy doing his, like, throw the shadow dude, flips him to the other side, shoot up the teleport fireball, lands in here, does all this crazy shit, zips the guy. Dude, awesome. Wow. This character is the best MK Ninja I think I have ever seen. Like, straight up. I think the way Noob Saibot plays in this game should be referenced for, like, all future NRS ninja characters. He is just so sick. I think they might have made, in my opinion, visually, when the character's doing shit, the sickest MK Ninja I've ever seen. I think the character I ended up liking the most in this game, not just for memes, but in terms of gameplay, was Conan. And why did I like Conan so much? His normals, dude. Fatty ass normals. They gave this guy Mortal Kombat X range. When some characters can feel kind of stumpy at times in MK11, they gave this dude huge range at the cost of, like, really good mix. He's a strike throw character because everybody's a strike throw character, but he really had the ability to throw out some big ass normals, spinning this shit all off. He was cool, dude. To me, it was kind of like, yeah, like the better version of Kotal Khan had the sword and all of that kind of shit. It was kind of like a better representation of what a big heavy sworded character could do. I loved him, man. And then he had some really cool conversion shit. I thought it was awesome. And then you got Ghostface. Ghostface, who's just insane. Like, what the hell? Ghostface is such a crazy, such a cool idea. Dude, grabbing your ankles, bringing in your friend. Bro, why are we fighting gods and shit? I think Ghostface and his execution was wonderful. This could have been such a boring, lame-ass character, and he's so cool. And then to finish it off, we got the T-1000, which is just amazing. And now we end Mortal Kombat 1, which is, in one of my opinions, one of their best executions of guest characters, adjacent to like Jason and Predator in Mortal Kombat X. Like, oh my God, dude. This character's awesome. Shit looks so cool. The way you do things, the way it looks, the way his normals, the way his specials looks. I'm like, some parts of MK1 make me deeply happy, is what I'm trying to say. Not everything in Mortal Kombat 1 was a dour snooze fest just designed to rip as much money away from you as possible. There was genuinely some very cool creativity that found its way through into this game beyond like the first season, at the end of the first season, moving into season 2. Of all the stuff we talked about, that's what I hope continues forward into the next NRS game. I want capable characters, man, with cool things they can do. That is not the thing that made MK1 unsuccessful, if it is considered unsuccessful. That is not it, man. Those things were the things that were keeping people held on. By the end of an NRS cycle, at least to me, from a viewer perspective and somebody that relatively is in tune with the community, and I like to talk to these guys a lot, right? At the end of this cycle and previous NRS cycles, I can tell you, at the end of Injustice 1, people were done with that game, dude. This game big sucks, bring on Mortal Kombat. At the end of Mortal Kombat X, many people were like, this game big sucks, 50-50 death fest, you know, I'm not even gonna play the next patch, bring on Injustice 2. Injustice 2 comes out, man, this game sucks. Can't believe how much this game sucks. It's just so much unfun. Bring on MK11. MK11 comes out, man, this game's so cool looking, it's wonderful. Footsie MK11, 6 to 7 months later, this game sucks. Jesus Christ, we can't do anything. It's just the same things over and over again. I am watching these throw animations until my life ends. This game sucks. Bring on Mortal Kombat 1. We gotta reboot this thing. And then it changes. MK1 comes out. This game sucks. What happened? This is not good. And by the end of MK1, guess where we're at now? This game's sick. The end of MK1 presents a completely different situation than all of the previous NRS games over the past decade. This game has ended in a better spot than it was at the beginning. And now, the majority of people that play NRS games, the people that play this shit competitively or enjoy this stuff and do play it a lot just outside of making content and also playing it for single player shit, all of a sudden it's really fun now. And now it's a game that opens up and allows for a lot of really cool shit that you can do. Way better than it was at the start and way better than many of the previous NRS games that had come out. So it's the exact opposite here. Game completely sucks at the beginning and it's a huge problem. And after a year and a half of refinement and fixes, and especially over the past 6 months, this game's fucking cool now. And I can see myself, if anybody else asked me, hey, dude, you want to go back and play MK11? You want to go back and play Injustice 2? And I'm gonna be like, I don't know, dude. We have to make some rules here. And if we talk about, hey, you want to go back and play MK1? I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Dude, I can play Conan. Maybe I can learn Noob Saibot. This shit's cool, dude. This game's fucking cool now. And it's the end. Seemingly is dead. With that being said, I think that the growth of this game and where it has effectively failed is interesting to me because it does not line up with the typical growth process, if not evolution of a normal NRS game cycle. It's different here. And now the majority of the community that used to absolutely despise the end of every NRS game that came before suddenly thinks that this game's a lot better now, significantly better than it was at launch. And it also is at a spot gameplay-wise that makes it kind of fun. With that being said, I hope that this information, and not just the everything in MK1 is trash, game just bad, no progress, no foresight, no looking back, no learning from this, just do completely new thing, completely different. I do not want MK11 2, man. I would like all the cool stuff that's in MK11 to come back, and its visuals and shit, and its art design, but my god, dude, I hope we do not get a game that plays exactly like that again. We're just gonna take all the moves away from characters again. We're just going to make throws even more damaging, even longer. I really hope that doesn't happen, and I hope that we can get fast-paced, snappy game that is relatively high damaging. I'd be surprised if we have another strike throw fighting game, because it would be like the third one in a row from NRS, but still, I think there's many things to learn from MK1 that they actually did well, and over time truly refine this game and it could have been something genuinely cool. But considering the way that the majority of the NRS community and fans of Mortal Kombat engage with MK, you were never going to get people on your side. That was never going to happen. You were never going to get this audience back, regardless of you changing things or moving things around. This game, to many people, is only a focus point of anger and rage. No evolvement, just anger and rage. I actually now completely understand why WB would completely abandon it. Why they would just drop it. Because there's no way we're getting people back. We have to restart. And at this point, we're going to have to wait a couple of years, most likely, to even see what a new approach to Mortal Kombat would be. But I hope they genuinely learn from MK1 instead of just disregarding everything that happened in this game.